Hello and good evening to the first ever Thursday night history moment event. This is season one, episode one. I don't know how else to really call it as such, but if you are joining us, I'm glad that you are here. And so we will just wait until some comes on and then we will get started and explain a little more with what we are doing and what's going on. So, um, we're just going to wait right here for a second and then we will proceed forward. But to give you a little bit of update, this is again Thursday night history moment. This is started off from basically history moments with Ted, which is a Facebook social media group where it's all about history. You could join us there. Again, that's history moments with Ted. So if you love history, by all means, join us. We're pretty open group with that. And so now um, I want to thank Virginia for Children First, being a co-sponsor and a help putting this together. Um, and her team over there and Bobby are just absolutely pretty amazing what they do. And so I wanted to give them a shout out with that first. So how this is going to work. So every Thursday evening, is going to be called History Moments with Thursday night History Moments, sorry, at 7 p.m. Sometimes it'll be live and sometimes it's going to be recorded. And we will do a section about history that maybe you have never heard of, that is part of our amazing history that we have in this nation. And so that is what we are going to be about. I encourage you to get the word out, like and follow, share. This will be on YouTube as well as it is now being streamed on different components. Right now, we should be on History Moments with Ted, as well as on Virginia for Children's First. So, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the topic for this evening. Most of you may know that it is, of course, September 14th, but do you know what is September 17th in our nation's history? Most people probably don't know what it is. Unfortunately, in Virginia, it is by law, by code, that the public school system should have some kind of lessons on this on September 17th, but it is Constitution Day back in 1787. It's pretty amazing what our Constitution has stood for. In fact, you may not know this, but we are our nation has been serving under the longest Constitution in existence today. Most other nations have gone through 15, 17, 22 different constitutions in an amount of time of less than 250 years. We have served under the same constitution up to this point. But how many of you actually know? Um, how many of you actually know all of the signers of the Constitution? I mean, some names here. Are you familiar with, say, Robert Morris? How about Eldridge Gerry? Or maybe even William Few? I mean, after all, that's a household name, right? And then we have James McHenry. Everyone should know him, huh? Well, if you are sitting and listening as a family or watching this as a family, and you're a homeschooler or a public school student, uh, take a look at some of these names. You'd be amazing at who all these gentlemen were. But so for this season, though, or tonight, we're going to look at one aspect. And so this is again season one, episode one. And what could not be a better time to launch that around Constitution Day? The Constitutional Convention itself ended on September 17th, 1787, and as the convention was reaching its close, Benjamin Franklin rose with a speech in his hand. He wanted to give the last, he wanted to have the last words, if you will, right? And so, um, with that, oh, hmm. And so with that, we he gave that last minute speech, and basically, this is what he said, and I want to share this with you because this speech that he gave was very prophetic, if you will, in nature. So it is. Here it is. I confess that I do not entirely approve of this Constitution at present. Now, this is what Benjamin Franklin is saying. But, sir, I am not sure I shall never approve it. For having lived long, I've experienced many instances of being obliged, by better information or fuller consideration, to change opinions even on important subjects, which I once thought right, but found to be otherwise. It is therefore that the older I grow, the more apt I am to doubt my own judgment, and to pay more respect to the judgment of others. Most men, indeed, as well as most sects in religion, think themselves in possession of all truth, and that wherever others differ from them, it is for error. Sir Richard Steele, a Protestant, in a dedication tells the Pope that the only difference between our two churches in their opinions of the certainty of their doctrine is the Romish Church is infallible, and the Church of England is never in the wrong. But though many private persons think almost as highly as their infidelity as that of their sect, few express it so naturally as a certain French lady, who in a little dispute with her sister said, "I don't know how it happens, sister, but I may meet with nobody but myself that's always in the right." Again, I'm reading the speech that Benjamin Franklin gave on September 17th, 1787, at the closing of the Constitutional Convention. It's pretty amazing. And this is the part where it's coming up that I find that I said in the title about it being very prophetic. And listen very closely at this point from here on out, for it says, "In those sentiments, sir, I agree to this Constitution." Hello, Anne. How are you? Let me start that again. So this is the very important part of this speech that Ben Franklin had James Wilson read to the whole convention there on the last day. It says, "In these sentiments, sir, I agree to this Constitution with all its faults, if they are as such, because and here I go, because I think a general government necessary for us, and there is no form of government but what may be a blessing to the people if well administered. And I believe further that this is likely to be well administered for a course of years, and can only end in despotism, as other forms have done before it." It's pretty interesting. When the people, let me repeat that, when the people shall become so corrupted as to need despotic government, being incapable of any other. Now, this is Benjamin Franklin talking to on the floor of the Constitutional Convention in 1787. Yes, even Americans can become so corrupt that they would need a despotic government. And he goes on, "I doubt too whether any other convention we can obtain may be able to make it a better constitution. For when you assemble a number of men to have the advantage of their joint wisdom, you inevitably assemble with those men all their prejudices, their passions, their errors of opinion, their local interests, and their selfish views. For such an assembly can a perfect production be expected. It therefore astonishes me, sir, to find this system approaching so near to the perfection as it does. And I think it will astonish our enemies, who are waiting with confidence to hear that our counsels are confounded." Yeah, I mean, can you imagine that, right? Benjamin Franklin thinks that this Constitution is about as close to perfection as it can be, and that our enemies, England, still at that time, and others, were really, really thinking about, are these guys going to really pull it off? And may I go on? He says, "Who are waiting for confidence to hear that our counsels are confounded, like those of the builders of Babel, Now, there's a biblical reference. And that our states are on the point of separation, only to meet hereafter for the purpose of cutting one's throats. Now, these are things that, was being said. Thus, I consent, sir, to this Constitution, because I expect no better, and because I am not sure that it is not the best. The opinions I have had of its errors, I sacrifice to the public good. I have never whispered a syllable of them abroad. Within these walls they were born, and here they shall die. If every one of us, in returning to our constituents, were to report them objections as he has had to it, and endeavor to gain partisans in support of them, we might prevent its being generally received, and thereby lose all the salutary effects and great advantages resulting naturally in our favor among foreign nations, as well as among ourselves, from our real or apparent unanimity. Much of the strength and efficiency of any government in procuring and securing happiness to the people depends on opinion, and on the general opinion of the goodness of the government, as well as the wisdom and integrity of its governors. Don't you get so much out of this speech of what he's talking about? I hope, therefore, that for our own sakes, as part of the people, and for the sake of our posterity, we shall act heartily and unanimously in recommending this Constitution, wherever our influence may extend, and turn our future thoughts and endeavors to the means of having it well administered. On the whole, sir, I cannot help expressing a wish that every member of the convention who may still have objections to it would with me on this occasion doubt a little of his own infallibility, and to make manifest our unanimity, put his name to this instrument. I mean, I find it very peculiar that Dr. Franklin said this, and I go back to a part in his speech where he had said this. I believe further that this is likely to be well administered for a course of years, referring to the government and the Constitution, and can only end in despotism as other forms have done before it, when the people shall become so corrupted as to the need despotic government, being incapable of any other. Did Dr. Franklin have some kind of magic or crystal ball to tell the future? Or is it just possible that he and others understood the nature of man? We must ask ourselves, really, though, have we as a nation become corrupted? It is a fair question. If we have been corrupted, then have we become as corrupted as Mr. Franklin is saying? According to the 1828 Noah Webster Dictionary, which would have been the words and the definitions defined as what the founding fathers would have used, goes further and says that the definition of corrupt or corrupted is this: literally, to break, separate, or dissolve. Hence, to pervert, to falsify, to infect with errors, as to corrupt the sacred texts. In less than 250 years as a nation, our Constitution, your Constitution, has changed, but has it been corrupted? I propose that we suffer from a lack of knowledge. The first part of Hosea out of the Old Testament, chapter 4, verse 6, says something like this: My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I think that verse is very relevant for us today. Have we forgotten our constitutional knowledge? Is it time to pick up a copy of the Constitution and read it again, and maybe again and again and again? You can better yet read it not just for yourself, but how about with your children and your grandchildren as well? This is your Thursday night history moment for this evening. Next week, join us as we look at the title is going to be Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence and the Battle of Athens in Athens, Tennessee, in the year of 1946. I don't think you're going to want to miss this one. Um, this is either going to be live or chances are it's probably going to be recorded and put on right here. And that's the other thing too. You can come here. You can every Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. Join us here for Thursday night history moments. Bring your family. Get the word out. Like and follow um, the the group, History Moments with Ted. Like and follow on YouTube the videos, and let's get our history out there and relearn it because it is an amazing, absolutely an amazing history. Glad that you were with me this evening. Um, if you are watching this now, please feel free to share it um, and invite others also to the group. But just get this out there. And I love history. I love sharing it. I love teaching it. And I love sharing it with everyone. I wish you a very well good evening.